Okay, good evening. Today we are having this Pinole and Hercules Wastewater Subcommittee meeting. Time is 7:02 p.m. and we would start the meeting for today. I would request Vice Chair Romero to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Everybody stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Chair Tave is not present. Member Murphy.
Here.
Member Romero.
Present.
Member Grimsley.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll continue.
You want me to go ahead and run the meeting?
Yes, please.
All right. The next item on is the approval of minutes from May 25th, 2023. Are there any questions? Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to accept minutes as is.
Okay. And do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay. Motion by Grimsley and second by Murray. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is citizens to be heard. Mr. Sanjay, do we have any public speaker cards?
No, we don't. Dave, are there any online speakers? No,
Okay.
we don't have.
All right, then we will go on to item number 5, which is Water Pollution Control Plant Operations Report. Mr. Sanjay.
Thank you. Our operation plant manager, Josh Binder, he's online and he will be presenting the operations report for today.
Good evening, council members. Are you all able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, let's start with the operations report. Next slide, please. The topics for the operations report will include the monthly flow data, the monthly performance indicators, and project updates. We'll start with the monthly flow data, and I'm just going to read the totals and their percentage of flow for each city. So for Hercules, for January 2024, was 50,540,000 gallons, or 48%. And for Pinole, it's 53,770,000 gallons, or 52%. For February 2024, we had, for Hercules, 57,180,000 gallons, or 44%. For Pinole was 72,430,000 gallons, or 56%. For Hercules, for March of 2024, there was 52,470,000 gallons, for 46%. And for Pinole, there was 60,190,000 gallons, or 54%. Next slide. So these are the monthly performance indicators definitions, so that you can understand what each of the constituents means for the performance indicators. Next slide. Okay, for the monthly performance indicators for January of 2024, the column that's labeled monthly effluent limits, those numbers are just the limits of our permit. And so I'm going to read out the effluent average, and the percent removal. So for CBOD, we had an influent average of 198, an effluent average of 7.32, which was a 96% removal. For total suspended solids, there was an influent average of 250 with an effluent average of 17.53 and a removal percentage of 93. For February 2024, for CBOD, we had an influent average of 154 and an effluent average of 5.32, which was a percent removal of 97. For total suspended solids, the influent average was 203, the effluent average was 10.53, and the percent removal was 95. For the month of March of 2024, for CBOD, we had an influent average of 196, an effluent average of 6.15, which is a percent removal of 97. For total suspended solids, we had an influent average of 233, an effluent average of 7.84, which is a percent removal of 97. Next slide. So next we'll move into project updates. The first project updates is our NPDES permit was renewed and is now effective for the next 5-year period of August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2028. So we've now entered a new permit cycle. The next project update is digester number 2. We brought down for cleaning and repairs. If you recall, the previous year we had cleaned digesters number 1 and 3. And so now we've completed cleaning digester number 2. So we just have digester number 4 left remaining. And then we should be up to date on digester cleaning for another 10 years. Next project update is effluent pipe air relief valve replacements. So far, we've completed 3 of those during the last budget cycle. The next project update is the effluent force main realignment. During the Hercules Sycamore project, there were several spots where the Hercules force main was very close to the wastewater treatment plant effluent force main. So there were spots that we needed to realign the pipe in order to make way for the new Hercules force main. So those were completed. The next project update is a 3D wastewater treatment plant tour. Sanjay and I had the opportunity that we were offered to have this performed for us free of charge. So they took a lot of pictures, video of the treatment plant and compiled that into a 3D tour. So if you go to the web address listed on the screen, you can see the wastewater treatment plant in a 3D tour, and it's pretty neat. The next project update is the effluent outfall project. That project, the design is currently out to bid. So over the next 30 to 60 days, we should be receiving bids and selecting a design engineering firm for that project. And the last project update is the wastewater treatment plant operations and maintenance manual, which is currently being rewritten, and that's in progress, still in progress. That's it for project updates. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bender, and I'll bring it back to the members. Any questions?
No questions for me.
Council? Chair, or Member Tiffany. I don't get to call you that during meetings.
Thank you. I have a question with regard to the monthly flow data. And it seems like there is a significant difference between our cities, between our two cities. Most significantly, I guess, with the effluent data. Can we talk about that a little bit, about why those differences occur? And
Is it the flow data?
yeah, in the monthly flow data.
Okay. Josh, would you like to take answer that?
Yeah, sure. What, on the monthly flow data, what question do you have?
Well, in the month of February, there seems to be a large distinction in our totals as compared with January and March. I don't understand what happened to cause such a great distinction.
Well, these months that we're talking about here are wet weather months. So, you know, the dry weather months are pretty consistent, and the wet weather months can have fluctuations just based on weather, the amount of rainwater that comes in. That so the balances kind of might look different than they normally would in the dry months.
And just to add to that, City of Pinole's current sewer collection infrastructure has a lot of I&I, and usually that's how we get a lot of, during wet weather, we get a lot of I&I that goes through our sewer system. And that's what you see when we have severe storm, and our contribution to the plant actually, actual flow goes pretty high. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Following on the monthly flow data, up in the right-hand corner, it shows our dry flow maximums. And I was wondering, so during the winter, obviously, was the plant able to handle 128 million gallons of sewage?
Josh, would you want to answer that?
Yes, during the month of February, I don't believe we had to use the shallow water outfall. I believe we were able to pump all the effluent to our regular discharge point in Rodeo.
Well, that's absolutely amazing. That's almost 4.6 million gallons per day.
Yeah, I think the plant is able to handle what we have seen, more than 18 MGD.
Wow. Oh.
And yeah.
We came close on a couple of days where we had heavy rains. We were kind of pushed to, you know, the brink of potentially having to use our shallow water outfall, which pretty much happens passively. It's not like we have to change our operation to do that. Once we reach our maximum pumping capacity, the plant automatically uses the shallow water outfall until the rain subsides enough to where we have full pumping capacity again.
Well, that's good news. Obviously, the plant upgrades have worked, and that's always good. On project updates, I'm really pleased to hear that our permit was renewed for another 5 years. I want to thank Pinole staff for doing a good job with that, and keeps us off of somebody's radar, which is great. That's good news.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask your wastewater treatment plant operations and maintenance manual. When was the last time that was reviewed, or has it?
The last version of the operations and maintenance manual was written by Brown and Caldwell. I think the last update was around the time of the last major project around the 2007 timeframe. I don't have it in front of me, otherwise I'd give you the exact year, but it was prior to the most recent upgrade that we had, and that's why it's being updated. It is a requirement of our permit that we update it periodically based on any changes or upgrades that we make to the plant.
Okay, so once this update is complete, then, unless we make a major change, that doesn't mean clarifiers or digesters.
Yeah, unless there is a new equipment or something that we are adding or modifying, then I think the operation manual will stay the same once this is completed.
Okay, all right. And then I'll go ahead and ask, is there any public comment? Do you have any public comments cards?
No speaker cards here. Dave, any online comments? Okay, no online comments.
Oh, and Mr. Roberts?
Thank you, Chair Romero. I noticed that Josh Binder did include a project update for the effluent force main realignment. I just want to take this moment to thank Josh and his team to work so closely and collaboratively with Hercules, our staff, and our contractor for the new sewer trunk main we're installing. I know it took a lot of work and effort on their part, and we couldn't be as successful as we have been without their help. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank them.
Okay,
Thank you.
and then I think,
Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Benner, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
I just appreciate the comment, Mike.
And then I might ask city staff if we go ahead and put the link for the wastewater treatment plant tour on our website.
Okay.
It might be a good idea.
Yeah, that's what we worry about.
Do we have any inside footage of pipes?
Yes. I mean, not inside the pipe, but actually whatever is visible when you visit the plant, this is a very good, I mean, if you can actually travel as you do in a normally, when nowadays you see those real estate website where you can see the houses, you can travel to each and every pipe and it's very clear.
So you'd be like soaring over the project then?
You're going through the buildings, going through to see and all that.
That's pretty good.
It gives pretty good impression, yeah.
All right, well, that's a great idea. So, okay, and then I think we're finished with that. Mr. Bender, did you have anything else to say?
No, that's it.
Okay, then we'll go on to the next item, which is a fiscal year 24-25 budget.
Sorry about that typo,
That's okay.
yes.
That's okay. 24-25 budget. Mr. Sanjay.
Thank you. So the capital budget for the 24-25 has been produced in the attachments to this agenda packet, and which provides the details of various items, categories of salaries, wages, employees' benefits, and all those details down to capital improvement projects. And there are the project sheets. I will go over the project sheets that we have provided for the capital improvement projects. Most of the projects are carry forward from the previous year, 23-24. That is, and there are two projects which we actually added, which will not be part of the 24-25 budget, but it is a part of the 5-year plan. So those are named SS 2404, this WPCP boiler replacement. The current boiler was actually put in service for 2007, and we expect that it would need replacement at the end of its service life in the fiscal year 26-27. So we had a hold amount there for about $660,000 for that project. The next project we have put in for the fiscal year 27-28 is a replacement, centrifuge replacement for the plant. It will also reach its anticipated end of life during that year, and we have a proposed budget for about $990,000 for that CIP project. And the other carryover projects are the water pollution control plant remodel that we have not been able to complete in the last year. So we hope to complete that in this fiscal year, FY 24-25, which has remained the same cost as $100,000. And the secondary clarifier also remained the same budget amount as $425,000. We have not been able to complete last fiscal year. And the effluent outfall we just is the same as last year, but we have taken some action. We have actually advertised the RFP for the design work, and we have been working also with Rodeo to move forward this project. So once we receive the RFP, this project will complete the design and will update the both the cities regarding how much the construction. So currently we have about $3 million in construction cost for this project. So those are the highlights of the capital projects that we have. Only one thing which I did not produce here because it was after when I published. I'll hand out one more project which we are actually going to be putting in fiscal year 26-27. It is a solar and battery installation proposal that currently we just finished the report from our energy assessment for the wastewater treatment plant, and this is we have tried to include that in our future budget. So we have just budgeted about $175,000 for 26-27, which would be the third year for this CIP, and that is for design work. That is a recommendation that we received from our evaluator, and the report is just getting finalized.
Are you looking for questions?
Yes, I'm happy to answer any further questions on this.
Okay, so you're done then?
Yes.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right. I thought looked like you were reading something. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, then I'll take questions from staff here. Evan,
Councilmember
would
Murphy?
you like?
Yes. I'll ask questions. So a couple questions, just about the current project analysis you have here. Can you explain the priority scores? I see there's some projects with priority scores and then some with not. And then can you elaborate more about like how those are produced?
Yeah, the priority score, actually we started analyzing most of our project based on whether it is a regulatory requirement, is it a need of the city, whether it is a council driven, whether it is staff driven and all that. So we have developed a matrix for how to give a priority score. Some of the projects you may not, the new projects, we have not actually completed that priority score yet because we're going through the budget process right now. Mm-hmm. It will take us a while before we can complete that. And that's why you don't see, because this is, we're still just in the process of doing it. But before we send this to the council, we will have the priority score there.
When the CIP is
CIP is, yes.
the Pinole City Council?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And
that brings me to my, oh yes.
Yeah, one more thing. The details of how we calculate the priority score is actually available in our previous CIP document that we had published, and it would be the same going forward. So
Okay, gotcha. The CIP process that we have for the Pinole City Council.
yes.
The general plan goals and policies, is that a reference to the Pinole general plan? I just wanted to clarify.
That is correct. Yes.
Great. And just a last question. So this project SS2406 that has just been given to us mentions the allocation of 175,000, but for the 2026-2027 budget. So you're just showing us this as not to be approved with this current budget, but just as a
Hold for future. Yes.
hold for future. Okay.
Yes.
Is there a reason that it's going to take 3 to 5? It says it would be completed outside of the 5-year budget window, but is there a reason that can't be fast tracked sooner?
No, it's up to the council and both the cities if they wanted, because this we just completed the energy assessment for the plant, and this is one of those recommendations. But if both the cities are actually willing to, or this committee is willing to fast track this project, we can do that.
Okay.
But because we are not done with everything yet, that's why I had some hold, but it can always be changed.
Okay.
So as far as City of Pinole's budgeting goes, so I think last year we decided that most of the budgets, capital budgets, within this 5 year, we will still encumber the amount. And that's why I put this amount so that at least some money is being held for this project.
Okay. And as it relates to this unappropriated but subsequent years fund, or perhaps project, this expenditure could be the sewer enterprise fund is going to fund this expenditure as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and Tiffany, do you have any questions? Okay, so I think so. I like the pages that we get, but I think it would be easier for the members if we had each year what your CIP was going to be, so that I don't have to add it up on a separate sheet of paper and try to figure it out. As far as the 175,000 for the solar battery, I'm not really open to talking about it because we just got the item and we haven't had a chance to talk with staff on that. So that would be a little hard to fast track. But more importantly, what I did notice is that we have at least $3 million that are coming up in fiscal years 25, 26, and 26, 27. And maybe you could speak about that. That's the affluent outfall. And so currently we're spending $150,000 this year, but 25, 26 is $1 million, and 26, 27 is $2 million.
That is correct. So that is a whole, we are expecting the total construction cost for once the design is complete, will be roughly to the tune of $3 million, which will be completed over 2 years. And that's why those dollar amounts are there, just for construction.
All right, and can you explain what the affluent outfall will be doing for us?
Okay, the effluent outfall currently is at the rodeo stations, and the idea is to be able to total, we have, say, for the a technical memo that STR has prepared, that it will be the capacity of the pipes has to increase at the station of the rodeo. And this will be actually done with some of the bypassing during that station, and some of the sizing of increasing the size of the pipes at the station at rodeo.
So is this a deep water outfall that we're talking about?
It is before the deep, yes, going to the deep water outfall, but the station is actually, this outfall, effluent outfall is inside rodeo's facility.
So it's in the rodeo wastewater facility?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so yeah, I think that might be something we need to agendize so we can have a discussion about it, because I think it's important for both cities to understand the importance of that. And I guess my question would be, as we have that possible meeting and discussion of it, is how many times in the last 5 years have we used the deep water outfall? And that will lead up to should we be spending $3 million for something that probably has not been used except for maybe once? I know over the last 10 years, maybe once or twice. We had one event where I think at one time we had 20 million gallons of water in the deep water outflow, so the plant could be able to process it at a later date. So, so something that both cities need to understand what's going on, and obviously with the rainfall that we've had, and the current plan is being able to handle that, which is very, very good to hear. So why would we take that next step, I guess, other than is it being mandated by water quality?
It is, yes. That's Josh.
Yeah, yes, Dan, you have it flip-flopped. It's the deep water outfall that we use 24/7,
All the time.
and the shallow water outfall,
is
which is
one that's-
at the treatment plant, that is only used during severe storms. So this work was deferred from the last plant upgrade project. It was originally part of the project, and for whatever reason, towards the end, I think that got value engineered out, and now we need to continue to try and maximize the amount of water that we can pump to our normal discharge point so that the water board is satisfied. We were originally supposed to be able to pump around 14 million gallons, and right now, I think we can usually pump maybe between 12 and 13. So this is going to bring us to full capacity based on the upgrades that we made to the effluent pump station in the last plant upgrade project.
Okay, well, like I said, that's a big expenditure, and there should be a discussion. Of course, I'll let Mr. Roberts discuss with Hercules staff, discuss with Pinole, and then we can get back to the members.
Yeah, just to add to that, actually, we are also included Rodeo. They are also interested in, because it is in their facility. So we are scheduled at a meeting every quarter just to, take this thing further.
Okay. And then the solar and battery. So is that adding solar? So those solar array panels on the facility
In the facility,
or out in the parking lot?
inside the facility.
Okay.
There are some other proposals also outside the facility, but we're trying to see what we can do inside the facility as well.
Okay. And well, I guess maybe we can't take a bond out because this is usually energy, it pays back itself.
Right,
So if we had a bond, we wouldn't really have to worry about that cost as an agency. So that would be the other question about this, is the use of a bond. And it's a revenue generator, so it would defer. Of course, we'd pay for it through the bond, but in 4 or 5 years, it'd be paying for itself probably. So
Yep.
just an idea on that, but
Yep.
we can bring that into a subject matter in the future. Any other questions?
I do have a few
Yes.
more questions.
Go ahead, David.
So the current proposal that we have are projects that are either yet to have been completed or to be completed this year, with the exception of the agenda from this afternoon. How are we developing projects that are, so for example, this, the energy conservation and generation and storage assessment I'm very familiar with because that's something we've pushed as a council. And so that has obviously matriculated into this project, which is great. I'm excited to hear about other projects in Pinole it'll do. How are we to develop more projects for the wastewater treatment plant per you all's analysis? Are you all looking for feedback on new projects? I'm assuming there are several, it seems to be, my understanding is like there are wastewater treatment plants across the state that are doing major upgrades. In our case, as I've been talking to staff, there are a few upgrades we need to do right now, but there are upgrades to be looked to in the future. Where's that list, or is staff preparing that type of list?
So Josh can probably answer this better, but let me get a stab at it. So there has been our consultant SDR had prepared a bunch of technical memos saying that what upgrades we needed when. And some of these projects, what you see as part of that. And also, whenever there is a need from regulatory perspective or equipment's end of life, those are the operation plant manager knows that, and they actually bring forward those projects. And so, other than that, as we do any evaluation such as energy assessment and diversity, so that will have generate some recommendations. So that's how you see these projects actually coming to in the CIP.
Okay.
And Josh, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay.
Okay. So in many ways, I'm wondering about. I see our sewer enterprise fund is doing quite well. I'm wondering about how to scale that, of course, without additional taxes or bonds, but with opportunities of perhaps like grants. I'm not sure if Hercules has a grant writer. I do know that Pinole has a on-call grant writer. Are we, as staff, working with the grant writer to secure options and available options on grants for our for our wastewater treatment plant capital projects and or other expenses?
I mean, as far as our grant writer is concerned, we are working with them for any grant that is available and we are eligible for it. And as far as sewer projects are concerned, because most of the sewer is actually as an enterprise fund, so the grants are less available, but loans are available.
Okay.
So SRF loans, state revolving fund loans are available to us if we needed any. And City of Pinole's fund balance for our sewer is pretty good, but which we will be spending it down in the coming 5 years for our collection system upgrade. That's what we're doing
Gotcha.
right now. And we're actually completing a sewer rate study, which will also most likely will recommend higher rates to actually fund the projects which will be coming in future. And I believe City of Hercules also is conducting a sewer rate study right now, and both of us will have funds to actually, if any future projects comes, to fund that, either through a loan program or with the enterprise funds.
Okay. And then my last question around some of these projects. So I'm assuming that these estimated expenditures are in some ways creating a formula that says that the construction cost as to like 3 years from now would be, things are going to get more expensive more than likely, at least around construction. So are these costs encompassing some kind of like algorithm or formula to like say that that's the max amount they will ever get? Or and the reason I ask that is, of course, my previous question, which is some of these projects seem like we can kind of, as soon as two cities get on board, kind of really expedite them. They'll get more expensive in 4 or 5 years. So what's the process as to determining the fund?
Yeah, those numbers are very basic. It is a very basic estimate of what we think. But those numbers will get tied down once the design is complete. That is when the real numbers will actually come from.
Okay.
And so if a project is being, what our estimate is, say, staff would actually do these estimates.
Okay.
Thinking that, okay, what similar projects have cost in and around this county, we'll find out and we'll actually put a holding number pretty close to, but it could go way beyond, like it could be double the amount what we have put it in until we actually go to the design phase. Because until we get to the nitty-gritty of it, then we'll find out that, okay, we're thinking about only one pipe replacement. No, now about 3 pipes are actually need to be replaced. Okay. So that's why these are really for giving a sense of, okay, there is a $3 million project. It could be 2.5. It could be 4.5.
Okay.
So that's it is just a holding place to see that, okay, that's what you need.
Gotcha. Are there any projects in the staff report this evening that are Pinole only cost projects?
No.
Okay.
Those are all actually shared projects that are being presented here today.
Thank you.
No, thank you. No public speaker. Dave, anyone online? No, thank you.
So I think, did you want to go ahead and talk about the budget then? You talked about CIP. Did you want to talk about the budget?
Operating budget?
Yes, sir.
So operating budget sheets are actually also part of and the agenda packet. And does anybody has any questions? We do not have any changes to the staff positions and all that. The only thing I would note is that we are currently fully staffed for the plant, and so the total allocation, whatever we had from 2023, 24, and this coming fiscal year 24, 25 are the same. And one position which was balanced was just got filled this last fiscal year.
Okay. And any questions about the budget?
Yeah, just one question. So my understanding is these meetings are Brown Act meetings
Yes,
requirements. So moving forward, that means that we will be seeking to have Pinole Community Television as a
it is
a
being broadcast.
distributor,
Yeah.
right, and a broadcaster. And so right now I don't see that reflected or those hours reflected in the budget. The time, the staff time, or the classifications of staff in the budget at all. How is that accounted for?
I believe in the agenda packet, the classification and all that is there. Is
For
that?
the Pinole Television?
There's a sheet there
Yeah.
that has a breakdown of the employees. It's right after the project updates where it showed the hyperlink for the plant.
Gotcha.
The next page shows all the employees.
Are the operators considered, so I see that you're
Yeah.
referring to page 17 out of the agenda packet.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't account for, are those operators considered Pinole Television operators? Is that
No,
what?
no, no, not
I didn't think so.
no,
Okay.
no. These are just for the plant.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm wondering how might something like this, which is still part of the plant operations or governance, is that accounted for through? So, for example, in our budget in the city of Pinole, we pay employees to broadcast.
Oh, okay,
At
yes.
least two currently. Because we're now broadcasting a meeting and we have operations, including,
Yeah.
the public agenda notices, that type of thing. How is that accounted for in this budget?
So the announcement and all that is actually being done by me
Okay.
or the public works staff.
Okay.
So my time and everything is actually also allocated a portion of my time
Okay.
for this, which is a shared cost with both the cities. And but I'm not sure about PC's TV staff. Markisha, do you have? There may be some overhead component, but I'm not 100% sure. I think you can,
Why don't you come over here?
Yeah.
Do it right here.
For that one.
So I'm not sure that you budgeted for the PCTV costs the way that it works for other departments, such as the city council. There is an invoicing process where the city council submits the invoice for city council meetings and charges it to the PCTV fund, and it's reimbursed for that. I don't believe you have this included in the budget, and it may be because the frequency is only
Yeah.
about once a year. But we could check the actuals to see if you are invoiced or if PCTV has invoiced for these meetings in the past. But it probably wouldn't be a substantial budget item because the meeting is only once a year, right?
yeah, I mean, mostly during the budget season is when we do. Previous meetings were mostly via Zoom.
So I do recall receiving invoices for these meetings on the Hercules side. So the city of Hercules is being billed for half of the cost.
Of the
This meeting,
broadcasting. of these
Yes.
Broadcasting.
And these
Yes.
meetings are quarterly, to my understanding, not annually?
Yes.
Okay.
quarterly, but usually we have canceled those meetings and we have provided the flow data details to all the members.
Okay.
So City of Hercules and Pinole, we talk, and if there is any item of substantive, then we actually call for this meeting. Otherwise, the members decide if they want to hold the meeting or can cancel the meeting.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is that that's not accounted for in the budget, but there is a practice of us
Invoicing them. Yeah.
the city of Hercules, and you all pay for that through a different funding source than the sewer enterprise fund, because that wouldn't be your fund too.
So, yeah, we pay for it out of the Hercules Sewer Enterprise Fund.
Okay, solid.
Yeah, through, yes, we have a line item for intergovernmental expenses for which we pay all things related to the joint wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I know that was a little different. I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, yeah, we're talking about taxpayer dollars, so just always want to make sure that we're covering like every single cost. And I know that due diligence is really important from our team, so.
And we'll check the actuals to see if that's happening, because it could be that it's being billed, but it's not reflected in the budget, but we'll check that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and Tiffany?
For clarification, so what we're looking at is reflective of the Pinole Sewer Enterprise Fund, is that correct?
For in the budget? Yes, it is enterprise funds, meaning you see the total expenses, whatever we have here, it is a shared expense for the plant. What you're looking at here.
So what we're looking at here is shared between Hercules and Pinole, so in our independent sewer enterprise funds?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I had the same type of question. So what we're seeing here is going to be part of the Pinole budget.
Yes,
This is going to be the exact same item that will
yes,
be in the Pinole budget.
exactly, yes.
Okay, there won't be any changes.
If there are, then we will definitely update you.
Okay, well, the format has changed quite a bit over the past years. So when I first saw this, usually in the past, we got the prior year, 23, 24, and then we had the 24, 25 budget reflected. So it's always good for us to, didn't have time, but I was gonna go back and look at last year's, so we could sort of line by line see what's occurring. So I would just ask that in the future we get, it should be something, most budgets show the prior year.
Yeah, we have prepared that, but that was after the agenda packet was
well,
distributed.
So, and again, as we talk about Brown Act, we're discussing, we're not voting on anything, but it would help after the fact if we got that item so that we could all see what's going on. So
Yeah.
maybe if we could get that
We'll forward
back
that.
to us, because and we're trusting, but it's just best to ask about that and make sure, because what I was going to do tomorrow morning, I was just going to look at the budget's going to be released for next week, I think. No, you guys don't have a meeting next week. It's the week after, I think.
Next Thursday.
Yeah, so I was going to wait until that came out. Yes, Mr.
Remember,
Mr.
we actually noticed the same thing. We do have last year's and this year's in comparison, but didn't want to hand it out at the last minute. However, certainly it wouldn't make sense for you to be pulling up papers trying to compare last year's with this year's when we have it. So we'd be happy to give you a copy of it.
I understand. And then, so over the years, I don't know how this turned into be a Brown Act meeting, but what we did do is when we started with the plan update, because of the amount of money that was spent, then we decided as a group that we would telecast that, okay? Prior to that, we met in the back room over here by planning, and that used to be our meetings, and we'd have the public come in, they were noticed, and we would sit there and we'd conduct our meetings without having the TV. And so I think we're at that point because as we haven't met that often, and so I don't know how this morphed into a Brown Act. Yes, we follow the Brown Act, but the Brown Act does not mandate that the meeting has to be televised. So I would hope maybe staff can talk about this and try to work that out, because there's no real purpose in the expense of telecasting The Brown Act does not require that we telecast anything, but it does say that we are mandated to have an agenda, meet, formally follow the Brown Act rules, but there's nothing in there that says that we have to telecast. So, but other than that, I mean, and I understand both staffs, both city staffs are worked quite a bit, and I thank you for being here on an evening, and I know that you guys all get to work very early. So other than that, I mean, it seems like everything's in order, and I think that would probably be, other than, okay, one other item. So if there's no more questions on the budget, then the next item is new sewer connections. Mr. Roberts?
None to report out for Hercules. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing to report for Pinole as well.
Okay, all right. And that makes about 3 meetings that we have nothing, so. And then number 8 is procedure to set up wastewater subcommittee meetings. And I think it's a wastewater committee meeting. It's not a subcommittee meeting because we're members both from both cities. Yeah. But I don't know why that's on there. But
I see.
Other than I guess I addressed that already. Maybe staff can. I don't know how Devin feels about that, but would you be okay to, because it seems like we're only meeting once a year, because there's, it takes time, it takes staff time to put an agenda together. I think last year we met in June, and then we canceled the September meeting, and then December came along, and we didn't do any, there was nothing that was really required, and then we would have met in March, but conflicts and scheduling got us into April. So, and I think April is probably a good time to address the budget instead of in June. So I'm sort of glad that maybe next year we meet. Well, Pinole doesn't pass their budget until what? End of May, 1st of June?
June 18th, end of June.
But you start your budget process late April, 1st of May?
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe if we don't meet in the future, maybe first or second Thursday in May of next year would probably be timely, and that way all the documents are prepared and we're not adding. Anyone else have any ideas about that, or?
So I'm so sorry, Chair. The item number 8, it says procedure to set up wastewater subcommittee meetings. I know you had a few comments there. You also referenced me, so I wasn't sure.
Right.
What's the staff report on this item?
There is no staff report. This item was requested by Member Romero because this meeting usually always happens at 8:30 a.m. First Thursday every quarter.
Okay.
But this time we had a really bad problem with scheduling everybody. So we had multiple requests, multiple cancellations, and this Brown Act thing and the televising thing came up, and we had a discussion with our city attorney, and he was kind of reluctant to say don't do televising, because there's something that previously have been done, at least recorded and be available for public. So that was his concern, and that's why we could have met without televising, but that's because televising staff was not available. So the meeting today was scheduled late, 7 o'clock, to get it done. And that was the request from Member Romero to discuss, if this is required or not, or should we do it.
So, if I may, Hercules staff would be happy to follow up with Pinole on the issue of televising or not televising. I tend to think with the wastewater treatment plant completed, there may not just be the level of interest that is worth the expense. The other thing is, well, as Sanjay has said, it was a struggle to get the meeting scheduled. We purposely deviated from the quarterly schedule to time it with the development of the budget so that we could have discuss the budget at a certain level of development. So I think if we just go quarterly, we miss the timing on it. So that was sort of the genesis behind this particular date. So I think it worked out very well. Chair Romero, like you were saying, if we can replicate that in the future, I think everyone's time better spent.
So your proposal is to have one meeting per year about this, which would follow this structure that you all have provided for today's meeting, essentially. Is that correct?
That's the probably the request, or that's for discussion with the members. And if that is fine, we are okay with that.
So Chair, it seems like you added this item on the agenda, or would?
Well, no, what occurred was I was a little upset about how this occurred. And in talking to your
City clerk.
city clerk, it came up, and I said we needed to have a discussion. So, and I also said we didn't have to have the discussion tonight. Okay, so but again, I've been on this thing for 13 years. Okay, and I have the historical knowledge, and the only reason they were telecast was because of the $50 million project. We felt it was that important to incur the cost to get it out to the public. The meetings were always in the morning. I understand this one time, but again, I'm respectful of staff. I don't like having our staff. I feel bad for your staff, your finance director, our finance director, having to be here in the evening time when we just finished with the late meeting last night and they came back early to work, and here it is 8 o'clock at night and they're still at work. So I always try to be respectful of staff. I want them fresh. I don't want them late night, tired after a late night. So I think, yes, I'm willing to do tonight, but I'm not willing to have this ongoing in the future. I don't think it's productive when the meetings were always at 8:30 in the morning. So, whatever happens in the future happens. But you've been to WICMA meetings, and that's an agency. That's the West Contra Costa Integrated Waste Authority, Management Authority that handles the garbage. Those meetings have never been telecasted, but they're governed by the Brown Act. So when I hear somebody saying, oh, it's mandated, no, not necessarily, because there's a lot of meetings that are conducted that are not telecasted. WICTAC, which is our transportation agency, that's in the morning. That is not, that's another regional meeting that's not telecasted. So I understand Pinole City Attorney. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that it is, there's nothing in the Brown Act that requires that a meeting be telecasted, okay? So we're not even mandated to have Zoom anymore if we choose not to have Zoom. So, but I'll leave it for first staff to talk about it and work it out, city managers and staff, and see how it occurs, okay? So unless you feel strongly about one way or another.
I don't. This is not my agenda. I hear your passion. I think just to clarify, perhaps, the city attorney may have been referencing a conversation with you, Director Mishra, around the Brown Act, but I think we have a very strict policy citywide around these things. So perhaps we're mixing two different policies up that we're hearing as policy. In the city of Pinole, we definitely do like to telecast anything that we do, especially with public funds. And we also just like it because it allows people to get more engaged versus just hearing about something, but also seeing it actually move. That's been our kind of protocol since 2020. I haven't been on this committee all but as an alternate, so I'm also open to changes in committee structure and the formation of the committee and how those things move. This was not my item to add, so I'm not too passionate about it, but I would say that if we are modeling enhanced communication, citywide communications, we should certainly listen to what our clerk and city attorney have to say, because they've done some great work.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it at said, and I'm not here to argue, so.
No, we'll staff level will discuss and we'll come up with something and pass it on to all the members to consider.
That works.
Okay. All right. And then if there's nothing else, then I will call the meeting adjourned.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.